So why would you want to watch this video? If you're interested in understanding how or what you should do to have more credibility to add incremental penetration to the vertical market you're going into, or whether or not you should actually go into that vertical market, this is the one you want to watch. Got a great question. The question was, Mitchell, I've been doing this for decades. And it is amazing how much organizational and system processes need to get fixed and addressed, and how management has no clue on the absolute savings that can happen if their people became that much more organized. By the way, I agree with you. So the question was, how do I have more credibility to address that? What's one thing I can do? Well, it's a very interesting question. There isn't just a thing. There are many different things. And what might be necessary is that you and I talk a little bit further about what you actually want to accomplish and where you're going. But first, let me say, I looked at who you are and how you show up. And if you allow me to say, in the B2C space, you've done amazing. You have courses that are out there that are easy for anyone to get, so anyone can go and get those. You've been able to take and clone yourself by creating a certification program and have people who have been certified in your methodology, and you list them on your website and help drive leads for them. Super cool. The types of things I see, oh, and you have a series of books that sit on Amazon. So I see a lot of the things that are necessary to reach the market in the B2C space. Things that I didn't see, and they may exist, and I just didn't see them right away. Webinars, seminars, a community, the types of things that would allow for even better word of mouth marketing of who you are and what you do. I saw a little bit of mixed messages when I looked at the difference between LinkedIn and the websites of how people can take your methodology and grow them. The website itself is really a B2C or even a B2B2C generated at getting the excitement level to those people who want to be coaches to actually learn your methodology and do what you do. So there may be other sites out there that I didn't see. So the thing I would say, first question, is the grass isn't always greener on the other side. Going in the corporate model, there's so much difficulty, work, all this stuff that needs to happen, and to ultimately sometimes get to a case where we don't actually close. But let me give you some hints and tricks and things to do there. First, on your, if we look at B2C and what you're doing today, one of the things that would absolutely be beneficial is I think it was mostly there, but it was in a couple of different places. I'd love to see not just the taglines and the ROIs and the value propositions. I actually want to see a CPoP, that customer point of pain, that thing that says what it actually means to your client. And then if you are going at, depending on where you go to, the client could be the end consumer. The client can also be the coach in what you're talking about. And then the next client would be the client being the organization. So how do you get credibility in the organization? It wouldn't be bad to have a book. I can't say that's the one best thing you can do. One of the things you absolutely can do is set up a series of interviews, that podcast, Vcast, do it with the intent of either producing a white paper, a series of survey results, or a book, which is not too dissimilar to what I did with Credibility Nation. The benefit there is the perception based on those you go after, of the expertise that you have. And of course, you're going to grow and learn along the way in terms of who you talk to and what comes out of it. And what needs to happen is to be able to articulate how, and by the way, there's a whole lot of surveys out there that you can grab and be a consolidator of surveys, how a incremental increase in productivity leads towards the bottom line, and what that might be. one of the things that I don't know if I've seen, very similar to, say a Myers-Briggs or any one of those personality assessment tests, is there an assessment test in organization that would be easy for an employee base to be able to take? And so you can actually give the assessment test, and what happens is the employees of your organization takes that, and ultimately you could determine how effective they are in terms of being organized today, and what a little bit of effort in terms of increasing the score would actually mean to the bottom line. That would actually be pretty cool. And there are definitely firms you can go to help make something like that happen. What type of partners have you played with or could you play with? One of the things you do in the B2B spaces is find partners who already have a access to the clients you want to go after, and you offer to add your product set onto their list, so that upside, you get in the doors because they're already there. Downside is you giving away a part of your revenue. Okay. It's really powerful when you think about that. And one of the best things you could do, to me, when I'm thinking about joint venturing, the best form of joint venturing is that if a partner is of mine or ours is using one of the training assets that we have, and they're just using it as part of their program, and I don't get paid for that, but they're actually advertising, showing me in terms of being an expert in the space in that area. That to me is the best form. So where can that happen? Where are the tool sets and the training? Oh, I forgot to mention you have training courses as well. Where could the training courses or a component of the training course be used and inserted into an existing program that somebody else is using that makes sense? So I think I gave you a series of different ideas. I don't think I gave you the answer. I don't know if there is the answer. There are many answers you can give. What we hadn't talked about is very easy to go on a campaign talking about productivity and getting on a couple hundred podcasts. I mean, there are just so many different things you can do. I typically lean towards a book, but that's not always the best thing to do, because you already have a bunch of those out there, right? So what I highly suggest is that why don't we sit down, and before we sit down, why don't you take a look at who you are today and what is that CPoP today? And then look at, let's say you were able to do exactly what you want to do 5 years down the road. Who are you then, and what's your CPoP then? And with those two data points, we might be able to chart a graph or a timeline of, hey, let's do this and this and this. And once you do this first thing, then this happens and this goes from there. One of the things that I hadn't seen is a community. I did see a community of those people who you've trained, but I'd like to see a community, potentially a community of your prospects base in the B2B space, or your prospect base in corporate people who actually need productivity, or even at the individual level. So hopefully you found that helpful. I think what I'm going to do is come back in 1 second. I'll give you the summary and the action items to take away from this episode. All right, here's the action item. What you want to be thinking about is make sure you understand and fully articulate who you are today, and have a customer point of pain, a CPoP that actually truly reflects who you are. First of all, let me say that 98% of the people I interviewed needed help in articulation on their CPoP. So you'll need to do a little bit of effort to make sure you've got that right. So the next question is, what's your CPoP tomorrow? And then start asking yourself, is there a reason for a difference? Is it the same CPoP? You've just addressed the market in a slightly different way. And it's important to, at least every 6 months, to reevaluate who you are today, where you're going tomorrow. Should the existing CPoP change? Are you on a trajectory in the right way? Have you changed your trajectory? And to be able to then go back and say, do I represent myself well asynchronously when I look at, or when my prospects look at how I show up on LinkedIn, Facebook, social media, my website? Do I fully articulate who I am today in terms of where people see the company going. Hopefully you'll find that useful. Look forward to seeing you next week. Feel free to give comments, feedback on this particular episode, and ask your questions for next time. Thanks. Take care. Bye now.